So since it's been so long since we posted last time, and this is a very important topic to talk about, one thing that I would do when I was in Sheridan is that anytime you want to talk about something really deep, that we went for a walk on the track. So look, these dogs are out here, they're really antsy, they're ready to go for a walk. So why don't you guys join us on the walk and let's have a serious talk about this. I'll see you guys out on the track. All right, guys, so we're here on the trail right now. I think this is going to be a perfect start to the video. So pretty much right now, if you're facing a federal indictment and you're contemplating, hey, do I run or do I stay, right? Now, a lot of people do think about this. I promise you, when I was actually in prison, there was a couple of people I was there with that actually did run, and they were on the run for a while, a couple years. So I thought this is a really good topic to talk about. So thank you for joining me on this walk. I'm gonna let the family walk ahead while I chat with you guys a little bit about this. So let's kind of dive into it. All right. So I think the best way to start this is, let's start with an example, a perfect example. And it's actually someone from my own indictment. And if you're following our story, it's gonna be the person that is currently the fugitive. I'm not gonna name his name, but you guys know who he is. So let's say he ended up not running. Let's say the prosecution gave him a plea deal of 10 years. So again, this is all hypothetical, but let's just go with that. So it kind of helps out with the storyline, helps you guys follow how the whole case would actually have gone. Okay, so using the example that if he did get 10 years per his plea deal, he would automatically be granted 54 days per year of good time, which that is equivalent to 540 days for his entire sentence. So it's like a little shy, like a little over about a year and a half. All right, so now let's just say that he gets those 54 days off per year. So he gets 540 days off for this entire sentence, which brings his sentence down to approximately about 8.5 years in BOP custody. Now, once he is in custody, and let's say he qualifies for RDAP. RDAP is going to be a drug program that is going to be in federal prison. So let's say he does qualify for that. He can get up to another additional 12 months off his sentence if he qualifies for RDAP and completes RDAP too. Now, once he gets to federal prison, and let's just say he doesn't qualify for RDAP, doesn't really matter, because this particular individual, he's going to be over 60 years old. So he's going to qualify for what is called the Elderly Offenders Pilot Program. So that particular program, all he has to do is serve 2/3 of his full sentence. So which that means off a 10-year sentence, all he has to do is serve 7.5 years of being under federal custody. So let's just break this down real quick. So off a 10-year sentence, if you are good while you're in custody, you will get your 540 days off for your entire time that you've been there. So you would serve 8.5 years without counting halfway house or home confinement, because also remember, halfway house and home confinement is still considered under BOP custody. So the good news is that the BOP finally started to implement the First Step Act. Oh, congratulations, it only took them 3 years to actually figure that one out. The biggest thing that it took them the longest time to figure out is something called extra earned time credit. So what is that? Extra earned time credit is going to be based off your pattern score. Pattern score, I'll get into that kind of later. But it's going to be based on your pattern score and what kind of programs that you qualify for. And pretty much ultimately, really what it comes down to is you can get an additional 12 months max of additional either halfway house or home confinement time applied to your sentence. Now, if you also qualify for RDAP, you're going to get some additional halfway house or home confinement too on top of that. However, that's all relative, because everyone is also going to be able to qualify for 10% of your sentence after good time to be either applied to home confinement or halfway house. So that means that pretty much what it comes down to is that you serve 85% of your sentence in custody, in BOP custody. You get 10% of that that's taken off to go to either home confinement or halfway house. That's minimum. But again, of course, if you qualify for all those programs, you're looking pretty good. I know it gets really confusing, so let's just start over real quick. So let's just break this down real fast. So if Mr. Fugitive over there took a plea of 10 years, What he would be looking at is a minimum that he would have to spend in BOP custody, and that also includes halfway house and all that fun stuff too. He would have to spend a minimum of about 7.5 years, give or take, incarcerated, and a minimum of 10 months in home confinement or halfway house. But if he qualified for all those programs, off of a 10-year sentence, he would maybe serve roughly right about 5.5 years incarcerated and about 24 months on home confinement or halfway house. So really, when you're looking at a 10-year sentence, that's pretty much what you're looking at. So the question is that I know 10 years sounds like a really long time, but it's not a life sentence. So that's really the case law, but let's talk about the personal stuff. Let's talk about the personal stuff that I spoke with other gentlemen that were at Sheridan who were on the run for years. And I want to share with you guys what their kind of thoughts were for being on the run and always looking over your shoulder. So one of the top things is paranoia. Why would someone be paranoid? Well, you're being hunted. I mean, you have U.S. Marshals seeking you out constantly, and that never goes away. There's never a statute limitation that they just go, oh, you know, I haven't found him in a couple of years, so we're going to go ahead and throw in the towel. You're always going to be hunted. The number 2 thing that I got told by a lot of people, you can't trust anyone. Now, maybe there might be someone out there that, you know, that you're dependent on, that knows where you are, but that person is going to be facing also a federal sentence too if they're caught, because knowledge of where a federal fugitive is, they could be seeking up to 5 years in federal prison. If someone was smart, they're probably going to cut all ties to your family and friends. The number 3 thing I got told, cash only. That means you're going to have a lot of capital, a lot. Because, I mean, you got to think about this. You're not applying for any more credit cards. You got no more loans. Yeah, cash is always. So you always got to pay cash for everything. And I don't know about you, but I don't have that much cash on me, which also then leads to no more W-2 jobs. Well, because you can't really be someone that you're not. I mean, you can't walk into a job and have a fake ID, fake social security number, fake everything. You can't really do that. So pretty much any jobs that you're going to be working at, you have to be working cash on a table. And also, by only using cash, it means forget about flying. You can't really fly anywhere. Driving, you pretty much have to drive everywhere. But then what kind of car are you going to have? Because then you got to try to, I don't really know how you're going to register a car and insure a car with no ID. And I mean, and again, this goes back to that you got to be paranoid, because you can't have friends or family, you know, register a car under your name, and because then they might be seeking a prison sentence. So you kind of see how this keeps building up and up and up. So I guess I'm going to break it down this way. To go spend a couple years back in federal prison where I can focus on myself, I can get healthy, I can see my family, and then after a couple years I come home and I get to go back to life. Yeah, it sounds a lot better than being on the run. Because the number 1 thing that I always got told by every single person that was on the run, you're lonely. You're lonely because there's no one around you anymore. See all this? See all the puppies, beautiful scenery. Yeah, you can't enjoy this stuff anymore. Now, yes, when you're on the run, but you're by yourself. But what's life like being without family, without friends, without loved ones around you? And I don't know about you, but I don't really always want to look over my shoulder and be like, hey, is that a U.S. Marshal tracking me down right there? Ultimately, prison is what you make it. If you go into prison thinking, hey, this is going to be the worst experience of my life, this is miserable, I blame everyone, I blame, the FBI, I blame the U.S. Marshals, I blame the judge, I blame the prosecutor, I blame my attorney, then you know what? Prison's going to be extremely miserable for you. But prison for me, I got myself into shape. And now if my wife does share that picture of me when I got home, we'll see if she actually shares that picture on here. But I got myself healthy. I got myself healthy in my mind, my body, and my soul. And now I get to come home. and I get to be with my family. I get to enjoy life, and I get to move on. So if you're facing going to federal prison, make the best out of it. Enjoy the moment, because it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience. I know it sounds really weird, but every experience in life is what you make it. It doesn't have to be the most miserable place on earth. It doesn't have to be that way. Look, I took 30-something classes when I was there. I got a certificate in horticulture. I learned multiple different trades. I went to Alcohol Anonymous meetings. I did Bible study every single night. I kept myself busy from sun up to sundown. I was so busy that I was looking forward to going to bed. I was so exhausted. I kept myself busy every single day. I made prison the best place where I could be at that moment. I got 3 free meals per day, and actually the food wasn't that bad either. So for people that are considering the run, and I'm telling you, I spent a lot of time and talked to a lot of people when I was in, and a lot of those people were on the run, like I said, for years. I'm telling you, it's a very lonely road, very depressing, very lonely out there. And I'll use the example of what this person who's on my federal indictment, who's still a fugitive right now, I'll use an example what he said in, and it was quoted in an article, that he can't fathom to see his grandkids, you know, see him in prison and stuff like that. Guys, prison's not a life sentence. Your life will go on afterwards. And trust me, it is more honorable to accept accountability and face those demons of how you got there. And your family and your friends, they're going to respect you more if you just say, if you own it, I made a mistake and I want to change my life. So guys, I'm going to enjoy this walk with my family. Thank you for joining me on this. If you're struggling going through, you know, this process, you know, reach out to us. Accepting accountability for the choices you made, that's hard. That was a really hard thing for me to do, is look in the mirror and know that I put myself in this position. I put my family in this position. But you know what? It made me a stronger person now. So thank you guys for joining us. And just always remember, when you walk out of prison, you walk into prison.